quick snippet about spinal rotation and the neck. It's questions that have come up from the VIP group as to why I don't turn the head straight away on spinal rotations. There's nothing wrong with that if you do, it's just my version of it. And also that age-old question about whether we should do rotation with people who've got osteoporosis. If we're talking about osteoporosis, we are not talking about anybody that's got a crush fracture. And we are talking about the fact that people have to be able to straighten up before they rotate if they have osteoporosis. If they are fixed in flexion, then I'll go through what we could do instead. So the method in my madness is that if you get somebody who's been at a desk all day, driving a car, looking after kids, and we go straight into movements where we're rotating the neck, nothing wrong with that. However, if we get a little bit of rotation, we're trying to make sure the rotation comes from the ribs and it's not just the neck that's turning. So one, I do it to try and focus on the movement in the ribs. Two, if we get some rotation in the thoracic area, opening through the chest, we are getting some fascial release into the upper back and through the neck, so that when we start to turn the head, the neck is more warmed up, if you pardon that sort of phrase, before we go into it. Doesn't mean it's wrong. You might not agree with me. I don't say I never move the neck straight away, but in general, I tend to do some rotational work first. So whatever it is you're doing, you might be doing bow and arrow arms. You might be doing spinal openings, whatever it is you're doing. So let's just look at bow and arrow arms. So I might start off just bringing one elbow back, reaching the opposite arm forward. So we're not keeping both arms up in the air for a long time, you're coming back. Are you rotating from the ribs? So I'll encourage people to soften the knees slightly if they need to. They're not trying to reach forwards and move with it. They're trying to rotate from the spine. As you do it, keep your hips still. Make the spine longer. So you're trying to get taller, press the feet into the floor. Now, if you do have osteoporosis in your spine, as we make the movement bigger, let your pelvis move slightly. But I want you to check that the rib cage is moving before the pelvis moves. Those of you who can, as long as your back's not grumpy, you can keep your hips fixed and increase that rotation. Feel that somebody's pulling your elbow back, your thumbs are lifted. If your thumb is lifted, it's freeing that acromion process. Then I might start to turn the head. So you are turning your head and then you look down towards your shoulder. Turn, look down towards the shoulder. Always come back into center, rotate. Now, if I was dealing with people who maybe weren't so good in their abdominals, I might breathe out now to try and keep that little connection. Ribs just are softening down. Now, if I was working with somebody who was good at it, I would take a breath in and try and get taller. So you are breathing in here, get taller, turn the head, look down at the armpit. Go again, rotate, come back. One more time, rotate and come back. Let it go. An option might be to stagger your feet. So if I have one leg forwards, one leg behind, the back leg, if you get any discomfort in your knee, or you might decide to do this anyway, I'd just rotate the back foot out. So you can look towards the hand and simply bring the arm back. Now, this is a movement that we've covered quite a bit in the VIP group. You are looking forwards. Feel as if somebody's pushing your shoulder back, and I physically get my clients to do that. As your arm comes back, watch that you are not bringing your shoulder forwards. So as you're doing this movement, leading with the shoulder, follow with the rib cage. Now your hips are going to rotate a little bit on this, but they rotate after the ribs. So if you do have clients with osteoporosis, and you've got quite a few of them in the class, I covered a class for the lovely Anita the other day, and there were 4 people in the class who got osteoporosis. So I did it like this. so that the pelvis is allowed to move, but we're trying to get the rib cage to lead the movement. I then add the head, looking towards the thumb, coming forwards. Feet are planted into the floor, the legs are straight but not locked out. So are you moving from the ribs? The ribs go before the pelvis moves. So we loosened up first before we started to add the head. Now if your shoulders are grumpy, stay with this. If you feel you can, lift your arm, keep dropping the shoulder, lift your arm, look under your armpit. Isn't that great saying if your shoulders are grumpy rather than if your shoulders are painful? I've pinched that off the amazing Julianne. So as you come up, you look under your armpit, you rotate the ribs, allow the pelvis to follow. You're lifting, inhale, look under your armpit. Now, if you suffer from vertigo, if it makes you dizzy at all, keep looking under your armpit. Now, the neck is fairly loose now. So you're going to start to look up to your hand, follow your hand, chin nodded, look down towards your hand and bring it back. Inhale, exhale as you rotate. Just double check. Are you moving shoulder, then the ribs, the hip, then follows? One more time. All the time you're getting taller as you rotate. And obviously you do it on the other side. Okay, if I can talk about sitting. Now, if you've got a more advanced group, you might have them kneeling, doing some rotation. You might have people sat cross-legged or with leg different positions. You might use a block. So whatever it is you use, once our pelvis is fixed, it becomes more of a caution for people with osteoporosis, people with spondylolisthesis or stenosis, because the pelvis is fixed. So they might find it painful, but remember, osteoporosis doesn't have pain till they have pain. So I will say to people with stenosis and spondylolisthesis, reduce your range of movement if you need to, only push to the point. If you get discomfort, don't do it. But remember, you should feel it in your back. Whereas with people with osteoporosis, I will keep them with a smaller range of movement. So say, for instance, I am dealing with little Margaret, and little Margaret has had several crush fractures. She's extremely kyphotic. She has real poking chin, and any rotation is extremely painful for her. So with Margaret, to try and get her to come upright, and if those of you who've done the osteoporosis course, I know you know little Margaret. So you are lengthening through your spine and release. Now that's easy for us, but for little Margaret, that is incredibly difficult. So she comes up, she does hand to hand, rotates to the side of the room, holds it, comes back to the centre, and then she can relax. It's too much for her to stay upright for a long time. So the whole thing is use the hands, try and come upright as you can, chin slightly nodded, lengthen the back of the neck. She goes hand to hand and rotates to the side of the room. So that's for little Margaret. Crush fractures, she's very osteoporotic. That's as much as she does. Let's progress it. Grow tall. Hand on your thigh. Reach behind you. Now, I do this even with my really fit people. I'll get the chairs out every now and again because it's a fabulous, fabulous rotation. Bring it back to centre. Hold on to the back of the chair. Arms are long. Get taller and then rotate as if you're going into the corners of the room. So you get taller, you lengthen and rotate. So you just go into the corners of the room. So I would keep some people here. If it's causing you any discomfort, back off, don't go as far. If you have osteoporosis in your spine, this is as much as I want you to do. If you feel you should, hold on to the back of the chair, lengthen, rotate. Now go further, rotate. Try and look into the back corner of the room. Can you do that without leaning back? Rotate, get taller, rotate. Some of you are staying here. Some of you are going to rotate to the back corner of the room. So all those rules would apply if you were kneeling or you were sitting. Anything when the pelvis is fixed, we are more cautious. But we don't want to discourage movement, we still want to encourage movement. It's just about the right movement for the right person. Whilst I'm here, I often get the chairs out. We've got really suitable chairs at the studio because we do a lot of chair-based classes. I'll do the rotation because it's fantastic. But whilst I've got the chair, I'll also be horrid. Is this suitable for people with a hip replacement? No. So you've got your ankle on the knee, lengthen your spine, get taller, lengthen, feel as if you slightly pull on the knee, and I'm going to come to you. Whoa, fantastic. Stretch through that outside hip, lengthen through the spine. Now if your back's okay, you can come further forwards. Just make sure you're not going to feel it unpleasantly in the back. Depends on how flexible you are. Team, I don't want you to round the spine. Just try it. If you round your spine now, you lose the stretch. Yes? Lengthen, ease into it. How does it feel on that side? I'm not looking forward to the other side. Come back up, change sides. So ankle, lengthen, ease into it. Oh, help me. So this is really tight on this side, folks. Straight away, look what my leg wants to do. It wants to do this. Don't let it. Lengthen, lengthen. Slight pull and come down. You can press that knee down. So once you're here, oh, you can press the knee down. Breathe. Feel like I need something between my teeth. All right, on the other one. So what do I need to do? I need to do it on this leg a little bit more often. Keep lengthening the spine. Breathe. Remember, you can ease further down as long as you're not rounding the spine, and release. How good is that on the chair? Thank you.